everybody. Welcome to the Earthborne Games podcast. I'm your host, Anders Carlson, and joining me, as always, is the Earthborne Games crew, Andrew Fisher. What's up, dog?
What's up, dog?
You know, I'll ask you this for a banter, unless there's something that you wanted to ask. Say.
Yeah, no.
I had this
you're
thought
giving me a freebie here.
Just like an hour ago, I was thinking, now that people have played the game, I guess you've known the game forever, though, so whatever. Now they've played it. Does the opening theme song at all fit the vibe of the game? Because I remember when we were trying to make that theme song, I was like going off of not much, at the time.
I like it. I think it works. It's like, so I made my own kind of playlist for music to kind of have in the ambient background, and generally the vibe is a little less jaunty than your song, but actually, like, one of the things I was constantly looking for, because a lot of ambient music is very like melancholy, and so I was like constantly looking for jauntier music. So I appreciate your jaunty tune at the start of this. I feel like it works pretty well. Okay,
it's like it's like, yeah, right. Like, is it canon in the game, that song? I don't think so. It's kind of like it's a little spin-off thing. No?
I think you could call it canon, right?
It's the theme song. I mean, I was thinking, wait, let's let these other guys join the interview.
No, I like this talking about what is canon when Andrew's not allowed to talk yet.
Just giggle.
Let's just declare a lot of things canon while Andrew's not allowed to interject.
All right, so that's the official theme song of the game.
Yeah.
And the future cartoon series and all that. And I shall be paid accordingly. Well, thank you for your support of the theme song. Oh, and I want to know what people think, what the viewers think. Does it fit the vibe? Because actually, earlier I was thinking, let's introduce Andrew Navarro. Hey, welcome.
Hi, Anders. Thank you.
Let's continue what I was saying. Earlier I was thinking, I think the theme would be a little more cinematic, a little more sweeping, some orchestral arrangements, but some of that kind of tied in, like a little.
Well, I think like when the little back and forth we had on the theme song as you were writing it, you so graciously wrote, which I think you did a great job on. I think I did say I wanted it to be like with instruments they'd have in the valley.
That's true.
So that big sweeping orchestra thing wouldn't quite be appropriate. But I think the only thing that's missing is like an ocarina. I was looking at some music the other day, and I came across I don't know how I got there, just kind of going down the Spotify hole. I found my way to a ocarina playlist, and I heard like the happiest song I think I've ever heard. Just full on ocarina. It was like an elf bounding through a wide open field bathed in sunlight. It was the happiest thing ever. Yeah.
What would you like? What part of the game would you score with that? What card or what?
Probably like if you go to Meadow or something, maybe for the for the Harvest Festival or any of the festivals, I think. And then now that we've introduced performers, the musicians, as like a playable background, I mean, now they can just show up anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
We need more music.
You could bring your own soundtrack.
Well,
yeah. What if the tail spinner players like just has their instruments loaded up, and whenever they play a card or use it, then they'll just hit play on there.
Yeah, they're like, here's my lute song or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like Baldur's Gate in that way. Just sit there and just play. But I think your song is totally appropriate, Anders. It's really growing on me. I've kind of fantasized about turning it into a heavy metal riff thing because I think it could work. Because it's got that kind of like if you wanted to do it, I think it could be really cool. So
do it. Maybe I'll do it.
Maybe you should. Maybe we should do like a full like 2.5 minute, 3 minute version of the song and release it on Spotify
with like really on the nose lyrics about the game.
Yeah, or its own. No, just lyrics about the podcast.
We've got to have you or Evan or somebody then make the Earthborne Rangers logo in like the metal band font.
Yeah.
To go with the song.
Yeah, you just need a big E at both ends, and then we're good to go.
And the lyrics will just comprise of show titles.
Yeah,
So
there you go. Yeah, that's it. Do an entire song made completely of the show titles.
Oh, that's rich territory. All right, and in the newly anointed revolving chair, actually, is that a thing?
I can't
you
spin
guys?
because I have headphones on.
Cory DeVore.
No,
That's not what you said. Which one was it?
It's just DeVore.
I know.
You knew.
I knew. I gotcha.
We had a whole conversation before the show about how to pronounce Cory's last name.
I just couldn't get it.
Rhyme.
I couldn't get it.
The secret
Welcome. It's cool to have you. Evan is enjoying the last day of a well-earned vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And is it going to be revolving? Is his spot going to be revolving now? Is that something that was discussed?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We wait to the end of the podcast.
Okay.
We'll see. Yeah.
The end of this podcast?
Yeah, all the way to the end. You got to get all the way in, or just scroll ahead.
You're going to say something?
I'll say something.
At the end? Okay, cool.
End. Yeah.
All right.
Man.
And Cory, good to have you.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I loved when you were here last time.
Yeah, no one saw me last time. It was just, I think the video didn't work, and so it's just my voice. Yeah,
I'm talking about the first time, maybe.
I think that's I've only been on once.
You were there in video. I remember you.
Well, maybe he was here recording, but maybe did not come through on the YouTube video.
I think it failed on like the download or something. There was like some issue with the recording.
Yeah. So just a picture of you.
Yeah.
The people have seen you on the Playcast recently.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't checked it out, on the Advanced Playcast, Cory joined me piloting a deck with some of our brand new cards in it.
Mm-hmm. A Spirit Speaker and a Tail Spinner. And yeah, so I'm making the rounds. I'm just showing up,
That's right.
Once a year.
It's like your late night appearances. We're really pushing this Cory DeVore guy.
Yeah.
He's doing the circuit.
I'm big now. I'm the new Timothée Chalamet over
What
here.
do you got? What are you pitching us tonight, Cory?
I wish I had that clip that what's his name always has
Paul
on
Rudd
Conan.
always-
Yeah, Paul Rudd always has on Conan.
Oh yeah.
Be like, let me show you guys a clip from my movie, and it's the like kid in the wheelchair with the alien and stuff.
Mac
so
and
good. Yeah.
Mac and you. Cool, Cory. Good to have you here. Let's talk about the extremely positive review from Shut Up and Sit Down. And I wonder, are there people watching this? I don't know. Is that something one would do? Oh, this game was cool. I better go watch their latest podcast.
Maybe.
Probably.
One or two, maybe.
Maybe one or two.
10.
Welcome.
I've been surprised by it with views on podcast episodes.
Views are
I
up.
think.
Views are up lately.
And subscriber numbers up. We're up to like 2,100 now, right? So
Yeah.
I think the odds are pretty good that we're going to have some new people here.
Yeah, I often listen to the latest episode first and then be like, I like this. I'll go back,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Is there any of
no
you out
chance.
there just starting? Yes, Fisher? Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, our YouTube, by our YouTube viewer counts on the channel, chances are good that we have some new viewers. After the Shut Up and Sit Down video came out, I think we had the largest viewer spike we had on our channel since the launch of the game Found. So,
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Welcome.
Yes,
people.
welcome.
So what we should do here, let's go around and let's talk about where we were when we watched it. Not me. I'm not that important here. How did it feel? What moments stood out to the I watched it and it was really fun to watch. So amazing. I got chills. In the first minute. I don't know why. I barely had anything to do with it.
You should take your temperature.
I'm invested.
Yeah.
So let's go around and talk about how you guys feel about it. What moments stood out? And Cory, we're gonna put you on the spot as the guest of honor. You go first.
I mean, it makes sense. We got to build up to Navarro's
thoughts.
I was in Florida on a small little vacation, and I was at my partner's parents' house sitting on their couch, and we just like snuck it on the TV while everyone was in the other room because like I don't know. But yeah, we watched the full video, and yeah, I honestly I did not know what to expect. I was like you know, expecting like a normal plus and minus review, and right off the bat I was just like I think I just froze and kept looking at my partner and being like, is this this is crazy. Yeah, it is wild. I particularly liked all the Easter eggs throughout their video too. Like there's just so many good gags as well that like you have to pay attention to. Like the Carhartt man, there's like a Carhartt mannequin just standing there the whole time, which is wild. It's super funny. But yeah, I did not expect it to be as positive as it is.
And we expected it to be positive.
I mean, we expected it to be positive. We
obviously because they had already thrown their support behind us.
Yes,
with
that's true. That's true.
Those off-account tweets. So,
but I expected like a normal positive review. Like maybe,
right?
Yeah. Even the thumbnail alone, I was like, "This, what?"
I know. Like,
is this an April Fool's joke early?
Yeah.
I told Andrew that I legitimately don't think if Shut Up and Sit Down had come to me and said, Fisher, write the 30-minute Shut Up and Sit Down review of Earthborne Rangers, I wouldn't have written something like nearly as effusive in praise, right? You know, I would have like tried to write like this balanced review or whatever. So I couldn't even write a review that positive about our game.
No, totally.
And from what I've seen, they don't go that hard usually about games. It's pretty rare, no?
Back in the day, they used to wax poetic about games more years ago. I think when the hobby was a little smaller, like I think there was kind of this role of reviewers as champions of the hobby. And so they kind of felt like selling people on what makes these board games awesome. And then as the board game market grew, they started to feel their role is as more of like critic and like trying to direct people. And so I think they've become less effusive in their praise over the years.
Yeah. Plus, like, I think a lot of channels have like fallen into things where people would accuse them of being like, "Oh, you bot," or whatever, because they were provided a copy or they were paid, for content, and then they did a review. So there's a lot of like red tape that a lot of channels have put up, and Shut Up and Sit Down definitely has. They kind of they pick what they want to review pretty heavily. They're pretty selective,
right?
So yeah.
Is that it?
Oh no!
Well, no. I thought we were going to go around the table here.
Yeah. Sorry, Cory,
host.
I like I don't want to talk about everything too much and just take all of the cool bits, because we've talked about it obviously. So I'm like, I don't want to share something that's like someone else's cool point,
right?
Because I'm the newbie, I'm the new boy, and I just get to say I liked the thumbnail and then pass it.
That's fair. Sorry guys. I was stuck on what's the good segue. And I couldn't think of one, so I just said that it.
You nailed it.
Nailed it. Yeah. I can go and kind of talk about. I was at my buddy Matt's house. I often work over there, and so we were just in his like office, and I asked him like, can I just put this on the speaker? And I was refreshing, hoping it would come out, and then like I saw it pop up, and then I saw the thumbnail and the title, and I just turned to Matt and I go, I feel like I could probably just retweet this right now, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's safe.
Because what's the title? The title is Earthborne
Rangers is Revolutionary.
Yeah, something like that.
And then the thumbnail was like, you need to play this or something. What was
or
it?
Like one of the best, I think.
Yeah. One of the best.
Amazing.
Wild.
and it took me like almost an hour to watch it in the end because I would like pause it, and then like I think I shared it on social media, and then people started pinging me because the video had come out, and so I kept like pausing it, and Matt who was supposed to be working next to me had like turned around and was watching. It was like, why are you pausing this? But it took like an almost an hour to get through, and
savored it.
Savored it, and at the end, Matt was like, "Well, that was glowing," but yeah, so that was like, as it came out, there was like this flurry of activity of like people posting about it and sharing it and reaching out and commenting and stuff. So like it definitely, and Andrew and Cory were both kind of on trips, and so I was trying to kind of watch all of our different social channels. And I know some people have like a superpower for that, but I definitely don't. So, I have like my 6 tabs open, and I'm like, all right, Reddit, Twitter, X, Facebook, Discord, Board Game Geek, and like cycling between them, responding to people, cycling back. It's, but it's like a fun flurry,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sure many people know that who are watching this, but what's the significance of this particular? there's many reviews. What's the significance of this particular YouTube channel?
They're the largest tabletop YouTube channel. I think Dice Tower has close to their same number of subscribers. Dice Tower is only like 100,000 behind, but Dice Tower releases like a ton of videos every week, and usually, even though they have close to 500,000 subscribers, Dice Tower's videos usually get significantly lower viewer numbers, I think just because of how many they publish. Whereas Shut Up and Sit Down does like 3 a month. So there's usually get over 100,000 views a piece, and like a ton of engagement, and people really listen to and trust what Shut Up and Sit Down has to say and thinks about games.
Yeah, they've been doing it a long time.
Yeah. So it's big, and we got a Dice Tower review like the same week too. So
yeah,
yep,
which is pretty wild. It's I don't know, it's just like a flurry of things. But yeah, the Shut Up and Sit Down, like just getting a review from them is pretty big because they're almost like little mini essays, or whatever about whatever game. They usually, even if they're not necessarily waxing poetic, they're talking a lot about like what this game means for this type of game or whatever, and so it's kind of a big deal, and it not only hits like the niche that's interested in that game, but it also like gets you in front of an audience that wouldn't normally play our game. Like board gamers are very different from card gamers, and it's just hard to get in front of everyone, in a way that's trusted,
So Andrew Navarro, like I think you weren't even sure that they'd even do a review. You had a good guess, but they did it, and it's amazing. It's like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's a dream. It's literally a dream come true. I made the joke to Fisher that we made this game that was for me, and apparently Matt Lees and I are the same person. So
yeah.
That was a very good that was a very nice coincidence.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, oh my gosh, it meant so much. It was more than I could possibly have hoped for, honestly. Like I did expect a positive review just because of just the back and forth Matt and I had when he reached out and said they had a review coming, and just wanted to make sure that people could get the game. At that time, he said that he thought what we made was really special. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, this is going to be good. I was expecting like the full shut up and sit down treatment, where they kind of give you the things they like. They talk about the things that aren't so good, or whatever. It's very critical. It's like any review.
Sorry, continue.
So to have a review that's just wall to wall praise is pretty awesome. It's like I've never seen. I don't remember the last time I saw a review that was so positive from them. I think probably what you said, Fisher, like back kind of when they first started out, and those earlier videos that when I became a fan of their channel. Those were really great. Yeah, and they were very, very positive in a lot of those. I still remember the Caverna one being extremely positive. I really like that one a lot. But yeah, it's amazing. And, I've heard stories about what a positive shut up and sit down review can do for your game, especially as a small publisher. But it's a different thing altogether to experience it when you're invested fully in the thing they're reviewing. They've reviewed plenty of the games that we've worked on in the past, both Fisher and I. And in my experience, they've been kind of like hit or miss. Sometimes they really like the things we make. Sometimes they didn't like them so much. So I was used to having a little bit of sugar and spice from them. So yeah, but getting this really positive review, like you just need to look at the performance of our GameFound campaign to see the influence that this review has had. It's been really amazing. We're about almost at double of what we made from our original GameFound campaign. Now that we're like a week away from the posting of that review, we have about 5,000 additional backers.
Wow.
And it's looking like $2 million in funding is probably a foregone conclusion at this point, especially given the fact that late pledges have been open for a week. And it'll be open till the end of the month, and then we'll be opening up the pledge manager, and we'll be accepting orders until probably sometime in May. So yeah, it's amazing. And watching it, like Fisher mentioned, I was also on vacation. My family and I were in Mexico, in Isla Mujeres, and I was just constantly like, I'd start off every day of the vacation, pretty much like most of my vacations. I'm just online, I'm emailing, I'm chatting on Discord, doing little things. And I just chatted over to Fisher. Was like, I'm just hitting refresh over and over again on the Shut Up and Sit Down YouTube channel, just waiting for it to show up. And then it didn't show up in the morning, which I kind of expected, but and then my family and I went out. I was like, oh, thank God I'll be able to get away from my computer for a while and get on a cell service, so I won't even be able to check, and I'll kind of forget about it for a bit, which I was able to, which was nice. But then in the afternoon, we got to a it's like a little kind of beachside resort thing that you could just walk in off the street. So it's like this little restaurant with like beach chairs, and you just hang out and eat food and have drinks, and then the water's right there. And they had Wi-Fi, so then I was back on my phone checking again, and then it popped up on our Discord server that it had posted. So then I watched it there on a beach chair next to my son. My youngest son Sam was there, and we watched it together. And every once in a while, he would like just shout down to Rachel, who was like off in the water, like details about the like, that's great. Like, let's listen. And then scrub back and start over when you started yelling. But he was incredibly enthusiastic. And when it was all done, Rachel came up and gave me a hug, and I just started crying. I was just so overjoyed. I was so happy. It was amazing. It was so cool. And just throughout the video, there were just moments where my heart just swelled and like my eyes got all teared up, because I think Fisher and I talked about this a little bit. The number of things that he mentioned that we put so much time and effort in, that are just like little details that other reviewers just haven't really that I've seen haven't really gone into. And him recognizing that they were there, and then acknowledging that we put the time and the effort into all these little things. It's just so validating that to get that. It was so nice. Like, to me, the biggest one that jumped out to me was when he talked about the care that was given to the writing, because we really worked really hard on that. If from a lot of angles, and it's not perfect, but we invested a lot of time and energy into that. So that was the thing that I took the most pride in. In a video full of things to take pride in, that was the one that stood out to me. But yeah, it was great. It was great. Awesome. Now we just need to keep it up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. To your point about the, like, we've had other reviews and like they pick up on some of what you're trying to do, but not all of it. Like, when we work on a game, when you're concepting that game, when you're designing and iterating, you have all these conversations about what you want the game to accomplish for the player. And of course, some of that always gets through, but never all of it. Like, there's some percentage that gets through, whether the design doesn't quite convey what you were trying to create, whether it doesn't quite click with that person. There's all these factors between you and the player that kind of muddy that message. And there were things in the review that Matt said that, like, it was like he had copied a transcript of some of our design conversations, things that, like, I had talked about wanting to achieve that he exactly got, right? And like, there's these moments of, like, where he talks about some of the emergent stuff that comes out of the mechanics and exploring the map and everything. There's these things that, like, during design, I kind of, like, would pitch and convince testers, this is gonna be great, trust me. And like, to just hear it land so perfectly, like, to what you said, Andrew, like, I had like tears in my eyes hearing like these moments, right, where like exactly our intentions conveyed to him. So it was awesome. It was so good.
Yeah.
Any other moments stand out to you? Yeah. Go ahead, Cory.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I think like that's the thing with a game like this is, like, I know there's a lot of things in there that are very like, okay, let's gamble on this idea working and like clicking with people, and not everyone it clicks with, but then like when it does all come together, it like works perfectly, and there's like these little, when he like tells the story about like that little moment where the rain started and quiet, and like just the appreciation for the fact that can happen in a tabletop game, I think is I don't know, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing that, like, I feel like we've talked about a lot, is that I think the thing that is one of the great things about this game, and I think the way that it's you're able to talk about it, is that you're able to just share stories of your experience, like these cool narrative moments, and and you can just tell a little story, and they're like, oh yeah, and then your friend's like, oh, that sounds cool, like I want that to happen to me. That sounds like, let's try that, let's play that. And I think that's awesome.
Well, good job, guys. It's a great review. If you guys at home have not watched it, go check it out.
I can't imagine anyone listening to this podcast who has not watched that review. Watch it again.
Maybe
share it again. Share it with your parents.
Yeah. And it to me, it feels like it means you guys get to keep making stuff for a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We're in uncharted territory again. I think the cool experiment of this podcast being effectively documenting our journey as Earthborne games will continue to be extremely interesting as we now find ourselves in this position of a world of opportunity opening for us. It's very, very cool.
Yeah. I love that. This is the document. And we have a follow-up question from SM Tilson.
I forgot.
Do you want to address it?
Yeah.
Okay. How disappointed are you that the game wasn't buried at the end of the review? Because he mentions that, does he not?
I was satisfied that he mentioned it. That was enough for me.
I forget if we talked about it on this podcast, but I had this like I forget what we talked when we talked about it, but I had this hope that they would bury like challenge the compostability of the game and like put a time lapse of the game composting that was just in the corner while they reviewed it or something.
That's like why, like the timing of it was what it was. Is like they're like, oh yeah, we had to bury it and film it with GoPro.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I was kind of hoping it would. I'm really glad he mentioned it. And when he's mentioned it, I was like, oh, and then he's like, and I'm not going to do that. I'm like, oh, fair.
I feel like we should do like a Twitch channel that's just a live stream of the game composting over the course of the summer.
Yeah, we could do
good
that.
idea.
Oh my gosh.
I know Jonathan Woolley of the video guy for Team Covenant. He has one of those countertop composters.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you could like put it in there and like super compost it and see what happens.
Is it like clear? Can you like see in?
Probably not. There's probably like a little window at the top or something like that. But yeah,
that would be cool if you could though, because then you could.
It's
film
called
it.
a loam. I think that's what it's called. Loam.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good product name. I like that. All alone.
All alone. And SM Tilson also wants to know, how much money will it take to have Andrew cut Fisher's hair during the podcast? Why is it aimed at Fisher? Andrew has long hair as well.
The Discord started asking me when I was going to cut my hair, at what stretch goal I cut my hair. I don't know why my hair offended you so much.
You can't cut your. That's where you get your power. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't cut your hair.
Well, I was telling the Discord that I don't want to go back to having to pay for haircuts every month.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go drive. You have to sit there with this person you're not going to talk to other times. You have to pay them like quite a bit of money to just cut your hair. And like with this, I do basically no work. I have like an undercut situation, but I just use some clippers and like maintain it. You know, it takes me 15 minutes every couple weeks. So
yeah.
So name your price though. 2 million.
Yeah, that begs the question: how much is that haircut that you?
Wait, okay, hang on. Before I name
I have to cut it. You don't want that. You don't want me to do that.
Just
before I
buzz it
name
off.
my price, when we charge shipping, does the shipping get added to the total?
It does. Yeah, the shipping will get added to the total.
Immediately going to like jump the total like quite a bit, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A couple $100,000.
You thinking, Fisher?
2.5 million. I'll cut my hair.
All right.
Oh man,
That's so low. That's so low.
Really?
Yeah,
Where's
I
it
mean,
at
a
now?
full bald shave or
I've
like
been
just cut
thinking
it?
about it
Too
anyway.
Bald.
You got to let me use up my expensive conditioner though first, because I won't need it when my hair's short again.
I'll take it.
I'll shave my head. You know,
Darren,
or
you
I'll
gotta
take
make
some
your
of
hair
Fisher's
grow.
hair.
Yeah, you should grow out your hair. That'd be the
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
It should be, how much money will it take to have Andrew cut Fisher's hair and glue it to Cory's head?
Yeah.
Depends
Now we're
on the
talking.
glue.
3? That's a 3. That's a 3.
Three at 3. I'm trying. I did try something and
Oh,
see
yeah?
if it works. Yeah, we'll see.
Like
It's nothing
pushing really
fancy. Yeah, just just you like plug your ears in your nose and you just
And just blow.
Just push.
yeah, just blow. It hurts.
It's like that Alec Baldwin's character from the SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, the SpongeBob movie.
I love that.
Yeah,
This
he's
is a
just
mustache.
this is- yeah.
Must have
That
missed
movie
that
is surprisingly great.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
one. All right, guys. We have an all-new segment. The Earthborne lecture series. So get out your notebooks. It's similar to listener questions. We're gonna occasionally peer in on discussions from EBR and provide our insights on those topics. I went for just reading it. Sorry.
Yeah, it sounds great. Well, now you talked about it. So.
Yeah,
Oh
now
my
you
God.
spoiled
Now
it.
you ruined it.
What do you know me?
We thought you were like, coming up with it.
Well, I have to comment on it. It's the bit.
That's the
Felt
bit.
so natural.
That's the bit.
It's the bit.
And now we're talking about the bit. It's perfect.
It's all
Solid.
coming together. You know, that's what you came for.
Comedy, guys.
Uh-huh.
This is
Explain
a
the joke.
This is number 400 on the comedy podcasts I saw recently. So let's start with Andrew Navarro.
Yeah.
What would you like to speak on today?
I would like to talk about localization a little bit and what goes into finding localization partners and how that happens, how you get a localized version of a game. In my experience, both at Earthborne Games and at FFG, which were very different in lots of ways, but similar in some others. But yeah, we had some questions of like, why did we prioritize these languages over other languages? Why aren't there, why isn't there this language or that language or whatever? The people who are, I don't know, who are looking for a specific language, wondering why their language isn't represented. Seemingly as if we are intentionally making a list of foreign languages and saying these are the ones we want and these are the ones we don't, which could not be further from reality. So when I first began concepting Earthborne Rangers, I made the conscious decision to not make it localization friendly. I just was assuming we'd just do English only, and I planned on making all the decisions as though English would be the only language. And there's a lot of things you can look at in the game, and if you understand anything about production, you can look at it and say to yourself, that is correct. Because like we've talked about before, a big thing about localization is making sure that all of your text is black. And when you do a plate change, so like there are 4 plates that go onto a press, each of the colors, cyan, magenta, black, and yellow. And for each of those plates that you change, you are charged a fee. So the more plates that you change from one language to the next, the more expensive your production is, and there's no savings on those costs. So every time those plates change, you're getting charged. And that was insanely expensive on Earthborne Rangers, predictably. So expensive, in fact, that when I shared that our pricing, the cost with one of our partners, he thought it was a clerical error. He said, I think they accidentally doubled your cost. So I looked into it, and the answer was nope, that was the cost. So anyway, it was very expensive. But usually you save money by only having to replace that black plate. So you're only doing 1 plate change instead of 4 every time you're doing a component. For Earthborne Rangers, it was always all 4, except on the dividers, which had text only on one side. That is our only black plate replaceable component in the entire game, are the dividers, which we ended up having to now reprint and sell anyway. So like any savings we got on those out the window. So that's just preface to say that like I went into this not expecting to do any foreign languages, and I was honestly very surprised to have people reach out to me so quickly. So almost right away, Frosted Games reached out. Ben at Frosted Games, he was the very first person, and it was it was like maybe a week after I had announced the studio and the game, and he was just curious to know more about it. So he was on board pretty much from the beginning. We did a little demo for him. He was on board. Everything was cool. Shortly after that, we got contacted by Fantasia for the Italian edition. And then we showed them for that, and I got that contract done, I think, literally the day before the Kickstarter launched. And then that's all we had for a little while. Some other people reached out to me during the campaign for like Czech and Polish, but I didn't feel like I was in a position to do any negotiations like in the middle of a campaign. I didn't really know what I was doing, especially because I made like special arrangements with Frosted and Fantasia that gave them discounts based on if German backers, for example, showed up, then the number of German backers that showed up gave Frosted a small discount on their order because they're helping us do marketing, and did the same thing for Fantasia. And I wasn't sure about those contracts, if I had done a good job or if they were, really workable. So I was like, I don't know amongst how many other publishers I want to spread these out. So I just kind of like pumped the brakes, especially since we were in the middle. So I was like, let's just wait till the end of the campaign and then we'll talk some more. So after that, I then ended up started working with All About Games Consulting, and they were the ones who helped me talk to some other foreign publishing partners. And I kind of like passed over all of the people who had reached out during the campaign and after. And then we started doing negotiations for everyone who reached out, plus the people that they were in contact with. And then it was like, I don't know, like a year or so of talking to various people, giving demos of a bunch of different partners. Like some have panned out, most of them haven't, in all sorts of languages. So, we've looked into Polish, we've looked into Czech, I've looked into Portuguese. We had a Spanish partner on the hook for a little while, but then that kind of petered out and eventually ended up with Maldito, who I'm very, very happy to have them. I think they're the better partner than the one we would have had previously. So that's really cool. All About Games also brought us Intrafin, our French partner. They're a Belgian company. And that was just because of the relationship that they had with them. And they talked to us, and like, yeah, Jurgen was just like, yep, I'm on board. And he was like one of our biggest supporters from the beginning. And that was really great to have him on board. But all this is to say, it's like, it was an incredibly organic experience. Like it's just whoever comes presents a good price, and we feel like as a partner we want to work with, then we'll work with them, and they feel like they can do it. We have plenty of people who've been interested, but the game's so expensive to make, and it's so expensive to localize.
So much text.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's tons. Like that's another thing that makes it not very friendly to localization. Is it's the core set is like almost 100,000 words, which is a lot of words. And then you add on to that we have all these expansions planned that have the same amount of words. There's no relief,
And we
it's
have
a
all
big
sorts
commitment.
We have all sorts of support resources too.
Yeah.
And like, so for any foreign language players who are frustrated that a given support resource isn't localized in your language, keep in mind, like the Living Valley is again another 100,000 words that are like, some of them are similar words, but some of them are different. All of our videos have custom renders and stuff. And so for the partners to do that, they would need to do all of that work as well for basically no gain.
Yeah.
Besides a couple extra sales, right?
Yeah, exactly. They really need to decide how much they want to put into it, given what they get on the back end of it. So it's a big, difficult game to localize. So it's a challenge, and that has been a challenge, honestly, in getting some other partners. But we're still looking for some. Like I'd still love to get partners in Asia, Chinese, Korean, Japanese would be awesome. That's always really, really hard to get. But again, we just need to take them as they come. We're not. There's no strategy apart from find good partners, partner with good partners, print with good partners. So that's what it's like for us. And I imagine, as a more unknown publisher, that it can be more challenging to go out and localize your stuff. Like I think what I observed at Chip Theory was they had a lot of interest because they had so much success with Too Many Bones. So once you have your success, then it becomes pretty relatively easier for people to show up. But whether or not they're good partners, like I don't know, you'll have to make those determinations on your own. But people will definitely show up if you have a successful campaign and a game that is successful. Like people are always looking for things to slot into their catalog, and if they see a sure thing, then that is that they can identify and be like, okay, we think we'll be able to make back our money on that thing pretty easy. Then that becomes an easy target, because that's really what they're doing. Is there's only so much bandwidth and only so much money they have for localized games, and they need to make those decisions very, very carefully because it's such an investment of time and money. So that's really what goes into it. So, and at FFG, it's the biggest. I think probably one of the biggest like international co-printing things operations ever done for board games. I can't imagine that there's much more that's more complicated than the stuff that we were doing at FFG and Asmodee. I know, Wizards of the Coast does multi-language stuff. But there's, I don't know, I feel like so much of their stuff is kind of like rinse repeat that it makes it hopefully a little bit easier. Who knows? I'm not there, so it's hard for me to say for sure. But I would imagine if you do it enough times, like doing a Magic set, a lot of words, but it's always the Magic set, right? So
yeah, they have a lot more consistency than all the various board games that Asmodee puts through.
Exactly.
There's a lot more unique challenges for each product that Asmodee is trying to localize into a bajillion languages than a Magic set might have one new permutation per set, maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So my experience there was we had these meetings in Paris where we did this. I did this once at Essen and I did this once in Paris. And both times it was so grueling, so grueling. It's just back to back meetings all day, every day for multiple days, where you're sitting in a room or at a table in a larger room with a bunch of other people also doing the same thing, where the foreign partners sit down at the table. You give them the pitch for every single product you're doing over the course of the year. At FFG, we do like 200 products in a year. And I have to do that presentation like half an hour to convince them why they care about this game that you're making, and convince them to take as many copies of it as possible, because they are pretty much compelled to do it until they decide they don't want to anymore. And then it becomes very difficult for everybody. But there, you have all of our partners that are all just lined up already. We have all of these Asmodee divisions all around the world. So you have Asmodee Italy, Asmodee France, you have Asmodee Spain, and the expectation is that all of them will always localize everything that you do. But what we found is that, usually we can get like a lot of support for games early on, but then as the game line would go on and expansions after expansions continually come out, the appetite for continuing to localize dwindles. And then even at Asmodee, where it's all one big company, we would eventually have foreign partners that would start to drop off because their sales just couldn't really support the audience that remained for, expansion number, I don't know, 87 for X-Wing. It became a really hard sell.
You say 87 like that's a ridiculous number, but I'm
no,
pretty
it's
sure
not.
that's
it's
like
low.
halfway. Like halfway.
That's
through
not.
X-Wing's run.
Exactly.
No, I've seen the database of all the models. I add plenty of stuff to that.
Yeah. So all this is to say is that the experience from company to company, publisher to publisher can vary greatly. But as an independent publisher, if you are in a position somehow to just, look at your list of, if you're in a position where you have enough partners where you can look at your list and like, yes, these people are going to get it and these people aren't, then I salute you. You're sitting pretty. But I think as just someone who's just a publisher is just getting started, I think just taking things as they come is like really really the only option that's truly available to you. So that's what we've done, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Cool.
Any and that questions? Is my lecture.
Yeah,
on my experience of localization.
That's awesome. That is a good little clap.
Yeah. For specifically this segment, we need both of you guys to get like the little like TEDx
microphone.
Mic.
Yeah.
We should just go to the wide shot and walk around. Yeah.
You're just off camera for a while. We just know you're walking over there.
Right.
What do you, for the sake of time, should we do? We're pretty far in already. Should we go to listeners, or do we want to do this other lecture tonight?
Let's do Fisher's next time.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it'll be good. Again, I'll tease the end of the episode again. There'll be reasons. This one I think will be good.
Oh yeah.
All right.
The end.
The end. There's something special at the end. I don't know, you guys. I'm excited too.
We'll let Fish. We'll for the lecture series, so we can keep it going. We'll do one lecture an episode.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it makes sense. I think that's
right.
It's new.
Well, that brings us to your favorite segment, listeners. It's the listener questions. This is you, America. This is you. You guys remember that show?
No.
I thought you were going to sing Team America World Police for a second.
No, America's Funniest Videos.
Oh, okay.
Bob Saget. Season.
Also, I don't know how appropriate it is for this segment, because I'm pretty sure a healthy chunk of our listeners are not in America. So
I know. That's why I did it. No. Okay. First question comes from Tobin. This is for Andrew. How do you feel about 72 Seasons, Metallica's latest album? Do you still like it? You were very into it. I remember when it first came out.
I did. I was really into it when it first came out. I think I listened to it enough. I still like it. But I've been kind of on I don't know. I haven't had a lot of chance to like really listen to music since I've been down here a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to a lot of music in Spanish. a lot of the local music.
Cool.
But I did pick up listening to Megadeth again a couple weeks ago, and I've been enjoying listening to Rust in Peace again.
Nice.
But I was sharing some music with you, Anders. Recently, which was really fun.
You're giving me a little mini lecture on the evolution of stoner rock or something.
Yeah.
Was that how you would sum it up? Something like that.
Yeah, well, talking about like groove metal and / southern metal / stoner.
Yeah, stoner rock
metal. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was digging it, and my favorite was ended up being Pantera.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're very, very good. So yeah, I'm excited for you to dive into that library.
What's the name of the song that you suggested?
The one that I sent you.
Yeah, the
Great Southern Trendkill / Sandblasted Skin.
Mm-hmm. Check it out, you guys. At home.
It's very, very good. Well, and Anders said, I think this is my favorite thing you've sent me so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, in that case, you're going to like everything in their catalog. I put you at the top of the mountain as far as intensity.
Mm-hmm. That was it. That was the sweet spot for me.
Nice.
I liked Megadeth as well. Rest in peace. So you answered Tobin's question.
Yeah, I like it. It's not growing on me because I have not continued to listen to it, but I did not stop because I didn't like it anymore. I felt like I just kind of had finished it up.
Hit a wall.
Yeah. Super quick question injection on the follow-up. Are you like an album guy? Do you like listen to the same album on repeat for like days on end, or like how do you?
Who, me or Anders?
Yeah, you. I guess any of you.
I prefer the album experience. Like,
yeah,
there are some albums that are you just have to listen to them from beginning to end, and that is the way to listen. And I really love discovering those. Yeah, that's always my preference. I like to do it from beginning to end, especially if they're really good.
And like a lot of metal albums of that era are kind of themed like and concepts and.
Well, and I've listened to them for like almost, my entire life at this point. So, I have this muscle memory of expecting the next song. So when you don't do it, then it's weird, you know. So might as well listen to the whole thing.
I do the exact same thing.
I have that for those commercials from the 90s of like compilation CDs of like 80s hits.
Oh yeah.
Like I can hear like the next song on the list.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
8675309.
And then you know that it's gonna be like whatever song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I had back to Rust in Peace. I had Rust in Peace on a cassette from a friend. I had Rust in Peace on one side, and I had Blood Sugar Sex Magic. No, Mother's Milk on the other side by Red Hot Chili Peppers. And Rust in Peace is a pretty short album. So after the titular final song, I'd flip it over to the other side, and then it would immediately start Higher Ground. So I have a connection in my mind between Rust in Peace and
That's
Higher Ground. Like those songs are like peanut butter and jelly to me.
That's funny.
Only to you.
Yep.
Cool. Next question comes from Chrysanthemum, as Fisher likes to think it's called. How did you settle on Lure of the Valley as the name of the first campaign?
I think I just changed it to that from what was it initially? It was
I was trying to remember too, and I couldn't remember.
Season of Rebirth. That's
right.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then not to get into story spoilers, Season of Rebirth didn't really fit the story that we eventually came to. Like, it was just a cool title, Season of Rebirth. I liked that, and I think it's a better title than Lure of the Valley. But Lure of the Valley is more appropriate to the story.
Lure of the Valley is a great title.
Thank you.
I like it.
Well, I put it in there, and I was like, if we think of a better one, we'll change it. And we never found a better one.
No, I really like Lure of the Valley because it kind of can refer to the player coming to the valley for the first time, but also the plot that I won't spoil. So that kind of double meaning anchored it for me pretty easily once we put it in there.
Cool.
All right, SM Tilson is back for a reprise role in the show. Now that there is a version up on, is that right? Dragon Cards?
Mm-hmm. They pull vowels out. That's how you name things these days. You just pull vowels out. Dragon Cards.
I see. What is Dragon Cards?
It's a website that allows you to play digital versions of card games.
Okay. So now that there's a version up there on Dragon Cards, will there be a version on Tabletop Simulator? If not, then will this Dragon Cards version be endorsed?
Is this the guy who reached out to us? This guy reached out to us, the Dragon Cards guy, or did they just do this?
I think they just put it up on Dragon Cards. I don't know if they reached out to us.
So I want to say somebody did about like some kind of like digital platform kind of homebrew thing, but maybe that's something else. I don't know. I'm mostly asking Cory to help delve the depths of my memory.
I swear I saw something, but I don't remember. I've been reading so many emails today and yesterday that I don't have any memory past yesterday.
So Fisher, is Dragon Cards like what was that old platform that people played Netrunner on back in the day?
Jinteki?
Yes. No. Yeah? Is that where it's like it doesn't really do any logic or anything, it's just a bunch of images and stuff?
Oh, no, there was some other platform that we used that people that didn't work at FFG used before Jinteki, but I don't remember its name either. But yeah, it's similar. It's it lets you kind of create rooms and play games in kind of this. It's like a 2D environment, and it loads in all the card images, and you can kind of manage your card table and decks and stuff, and it has tools.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Jinteki is like technically like a custom build, because whoever made that also made this like Keyforge one called like the Crucible or something.
Yeah,
but I think those are technically custom built, and I do think Jinteki ended up having some logic. It's very minimal, and you have to like fix it sometimes. But I think this is more like just a 2D engine with some logic. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with it.
So will there be a TTS version?
I think it's funny. I thought this funny was question. I thought this question was funny because it asks us if we're just not even going to make a TTS version because there's this basically illegitimate version, and then the second half of the question acknowledges that it's not endorsed.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, we're not. I don't know, Andrew. What do you?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I still think we should probably just do a TTS version. Honestly, at this point, I mean, the fact, like we've said from the beginning, like if we don't do it, someone's going to do it. It's going to exist. I think it's just a question. We were looking into making it a paid thing, but it's looking like it's probably not possible to do a paid one.
Berserk Games has not been hyper communicative with us, unfortunately.
Yeah. So
maybe after the the emails I've sent them were all pre shut up and sit down videos. So maybe I should just go. Like
one more.
Yeah.
Send them a link to that video. Are you sure? Yeah, because
I mean, company that like does a port of it.
No, Berserk's the publisher of the tabletop simulator.
Okay.
Game.
So what do you want to hear from them, or what?
So the only go ahead, Fisher.
They can do like official supported DLCs and charge money and license and like they'll actually help you make them. Ostensibly they'll help you make them and make like a custom environment and make it all pretty and make sure it runs correctly. But we have not really been able to get into consistent communication with them.
I see.
So it's we would like to, but it's been tricky. We've actually got an environment we use for our internal testing that's pretty robust. It's not like the kind of polish you'll see on like one of their official DLCs. You know, it's just made using one of the default tables and the default like forest exterior. But we've created a bunch of scripted objects. Davi has helped a ton. Davi and I have both done a bunch of work to kind of build this interactive environment that makes it pretty easy to manage all the cards in this game and all the different sets. So that thing's decently slick, but it's not at the polished level of like, I'm going to charge you $20 for this, I feel.
Yeah. So I mean, I think ideally we'd still want something that, you know, that we can charge at least something for. So, you know, to Fisher's point, maybe a little, the extra exposure we've gotten might help grease some wheels. So maybe we'll wait a little bit and see what happens. But you know, clearly you will have a way to play this game online, whether it's endorsed or not. If it's what you want to do, it will be an option for you. So there's really no pressure on us to make it happen. I would prefer to do something that was more polished.
Yeah. It's really just having something nice so people have a fun.
And something that has some like, you know, specific logic to it that makes the game a little bit, you know, that we get some benefits out of it being digital. I think totally worthwhile. So hang on, just wait. Go ahead, play Dragon Cards. We're probably not going to officially endorse them or anything, but we're not going to send them a cease and desist or anything. So.
All right, next question comes from Rob Carda. Has there been any consideration for distributing the game without the scenario book? Just putting it online instead? It seems like that would be the better choice for the environment. Guys.
Would it?
I don't know.
You really put an accusatory edge on this person's question there on this.
I mean,
would it?
It's all there, is it not? Okay, go.
We talked about this a lot. It's something we definitely considered, but we've crossed that bridge. Yeah, I don't think it's the question of whether or not it is better for the environment is, I think, open to a lot of discussion, honestly. If you really start to think about everything that goes into your computer and all the things that go into making digital devices and all the power they use,
and
are they better?
The power it takes to host this thing digitally and have a bunch of people go and connect to it. At the end of the day, we probably couldn't say exactly which of these versus like it is sustainably sourced paper, but it has to go on trucks. Who knows which one is?
I mean, I think at the end, like, because I think this goes to that like, I think super reductive point of view where at the end of the conversation they say, well, the most ecological thing to do is nothing. Just don't do anything. Don't make anything. Don't create anything. Don't do anything. Sit in your home and do nothing. That is the best thing for the environment, and try not to breathe or fart. And I think, we have a vision for this physical object that we want to create, and kind of what I talked about in the Game Found update. That the inspiration from Patagonia of, you want to create something, acknowledge that you will need to do some kind of harm to the earth to make that happen, that you need to use the resources of the earth, and just try to do your best to do that responsibly and to do as little harm as possible. And I think that's what we've done. And I think it's just nicer to have a book, even if ultimately it has some typos and some things that we need to correct. I'd rather have that. I think I'd rather have that object and play the game that way. But we also have the ability to have our cake and eat the cake by having the Living Valley. So if you want to play the game that way, you totally can.
And we may use the Living Valley to do some products in the future that we couldn't do through printed means. But our core set's always going to come with the book and everything you need to play it with zero internet connection.
I think more and more it seems like people are becoming conscious of how much they use their screens. And I feel like tabletop games is probably going to become more of a space where they can just completely ignore that stuff. So I feel like makes sense not to make that be critical to playing the game.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking to, whether you know it or not, Anders, you're talking to two people, two of the three of us who've been intimately involved in some of the biggest app integrated board games ever made. So it's not like we have an aversion to apps or screens. It's it was part of the vision for those games to do those things, and that was why we did it and went as hard as we did. Because we think there's value to it. But I also agree with you is that there's a huge segment of people who want nothing to do with the screen the entire time they're playing board games. And I feel like more and more, I find myself falling into that camp where it's just nice to get away, especially for my kids who are have screen problems. Let's just say.
Yeah, and well, to your point, Andrew, about the app integrated games we made, when we made Mansions in the first place, but then Journeys Middle Earth and Descent, one of the big things was making sure that the app was bringing something that you couldn't do otherwise. It was doing something that would be impossible to do if it was just a physical object. The app had to be adding value, or we wouldn't make it an app game. And so to ship a game that has a digital component like our campaign guide that we could do physically without it doesn't seem I don't know, it doesn't have, I feel like if you're going to make that sacrifice, it needs to be for a very good reason, and that's when we did those games at FFG, it was for a very good reason. Here it would just be to save a little paper. It doesn't seem as worth it.
And I think, like you said, there will be things down the road that we've discussed, ideas for future products that may exclusively utilize the Living Valley just out of sheer practicality. Kind of like with the decision to not print a replacement campaign guide and try to ship that out with the errata pack that we had for the Game Found campaign. It just introduces all this extra waste and size, and everything about it is problematic because really all we want to give you is this little pack of cards. So you can imagine us perhaps providing you a product that is a compact little pack of cards that has a campaign guide that you might engage with online, or you can print it out. Obviously, that would be something you could always do. Imagine.
Hypothetical future.
This hypothetical thing.
All right. Next question's from Stygian the Unpronounceable. Stin. I feel like he's spelling it differently now.
Just adding more consonants.
Yeah, adding more.
That'd be pretty good bit if he just spelled his name differently every time he sent in a question.
Yeah. Well, usually there's no D. It's usually Stijn. Now there's
and he had a whole explanation on Discord about this.
Really?
It's been a while. I always thought it was like Stein, because it was the Stijn. But
it's like Stan.
Yeah.
Stan the Unpronounceable. So, I like this new moniker, the Unpronounceable.
It's good.
Yeah.
He gave it to himself.
Yeah, like Kieran.
Yeah.
Like
long overdue, though.
This one's an objective truth. Yeah. A question last episode about the Forager being nerfed by the moments led me to think about the metagame. Is this something you are actively aware of? That is, are you willing to give lower tier decks more beefy cards in a future game expansion?
Yeah, so a little context to this question.
I have a question about this before you get into it, Fisher. Are people doing tier lists of decks for Earthborne Rangers? Are they like...
I don't know if have we seen an official tier list? Like, is there a tier list video?
I haven't seen a tier list video, but I've seen plenty of people talking about it on BGG and on Discord. There seems to be like I don't know if they've actually tiered it, but it's
okay. What's a top tier deck?
I mean, definitely
Pokadoru.
I think Pokado and Oru and all that stuff. I'm assuming a Traveler with like the Trail Magic Man.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Probably Awareness Shaper is probably up there. I'm just guessing. Meditation Pillow is like mid because people think it's really good, but then it's just like you're just spending all your effort making the day longer for no reason.
But see, as soon as we have this conversation, I posted this in the Discord at one point. Was that if I was to make a tier list of all our decks, it would look like that tier list Tom did at Shut Up and Sit Down for all of the Railroad Inc. expansions, where he just goes, it's like full madness tier list, and he creates all these different side and tangent tiers. I would create like the mid but controversial tier for Meditation Pillow.
Mm-hmm.
You create the companion tier above S tier for Pokado and Oru.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a theme deck guy, so I don't care as much. But yes, I am assuming that Forager is on the lower end, just due to simply to card numbers and things.
Okay. All right. So back. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
Stygian.
Oh, I will say too, we should clarify moments on the path, not just moments in general.
Yes,
my guess is yes.
I was going to give a little context. So Stain's question was about how last episode we talked about how moments on the path dilutes the path deck a bit and could lead to you finding fewer flora, which could make the Forager background worse. We said we weren't that concerned about it, but he's asking here about the broader metagame and whether or not we adjust decks. So, I mean, yes, a little bit. You'll see and probably have already seen, for those of you who have watched the Covenant video where they go through some of the cards from the new Ranger expansion, that we added 4 new cards to each of these sets. And one of the things we were trying to do is to serve underserved archetypes. So archetypes that, probably weren't as powerful because they didn't have enough cards to kind of support them. But also, you'll notice that we didn't further buff the most powerful archetypes. We tried to avoid synergizing with the cards that were already really good. So we are already doing that to a degree. So we are kind of keeping that in mind and watching how people play the game and which archetypes people engage with now that the game is fully out. That being said, you're not going to see us managing the metagame to the same degree that a competitive game might. Ultimately, this is just a different type of game and experience, so we're not going to be sitting there tweaking things up and down to make sure every single archetype is at an exact balance. I think Andrew has made the point before that for some of these powerful cards, these can be really fun. I know a lot of people who have really enjoyed Oru. They get their pet dog. They want their pet dog to be awesome, and they really enjoy that deck. And for the people where Oru is too good, they can just not run Oru. So because this is kind of this co-op adventure that you create for yourself, we are kind of comfortable with people setting challenge for themselves or setting ease for themselves based on which decks and archetypes they build. But
until we drop the ban list.
Well, the next question kind of does relate to that.
All right, the next question from Braid's mama.
Oh, I didn't realize how on theme I was.
Are you planning to do something like the Arkham taboo list to balance cards like Oru for those of us who are of that mind?
Andrew, do you want to answer this question?
Yeah, well, I think we've talked about this before. Yes, we are planning on doing something similar to this, where people who are looking for a ruling from the publisher or for permission from the publisher to maybe offer suggested alterations to existing cards to make things a little bit more challenging. We are planning on doing something similar to that. I don't think we have a name for it yet, though.
No, we need like a fun name, like Carbon Forged mode that like feels nice and thematic.
Yeah.
No root.
The Elders no list.
You were halfway. You were there. You had me for the first half.
The Elders.
But yes, we do plan on doing that. Like, you're not going to see us nerfing Oru and Bakoto in like reprint changes or errata or stuff. But a list that folks who want to opt into it, who can, we are going to do something like that eventually.
Yeah, now we're going to get a bunch more people playing too. So we'll have hopefully some good feedback and data on what cards people are actually feeling need a bit of a nerf or buff, I guess. Are there any buffs on the taboo list?
I'm actually not sure on the taboo list. Do you know, Cory?
For Arkham?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know actually.
But I can say that there are some buffs that Davi and I have discussed for our list.
All right. There you go.
Mostly the really low-hanging fruit, and by low-hanging I mean weak.
Well, I think the name of whatever this list is should have to do with Cal Ivor.
Yeah.
Because he's so, he's so good at what he does. He's so pro,
Yeah.
The cure of the valley.
Next question comes from Hierophantic. I love Earthborne Rangers, but there are still hours in my day that I'm not spending in the valley. But is there any news on the TTRPG front? What is it? What does that first sentence mean? Why am I not getting this?
He's saying that he wants to spend more time in the valley, and so he wants to play a tabletop role-playing game where he can do so.
Gotcha.
Can't get enough. Just wants more.
In his day. I was thinking hours in the game for some reason. Go ahead. Answer.
Well, you should spend more time reading the World book. Yeah, like just carry that around with you and read it every once in a while. That'll help fill the hours, and then reread it until you memorize it, and then you can write our tabletop RPG for us. I think do we have news? I think the only news we really have is that it's still something we're planning. The fact that we have money now suddenly makes it so that it's something that we can try to make happen. Whereas before we had to kind of put it on ice for a bit. So yeah, we'll be spooling it back up. I think we have some other projects that I think we're putting in front of it a little bit. But I think if we can get the right people on it, then it's something we can do. So long story short, we're doing it. It's just a question of when.
Yeah, like Andrew said, we had to. Part of the reason, we've had some chatter on the Discord about. We talked about this thing a while back. Where is it? We did some initial work on it. We're very excited about it. But to Andrew's point, we need money, and so we had to kind of we had spread out a lot, and we're looking at a lot of different things, and we needed to kind of focus on kind of our core pillars. And now we have a bit more freedom to try some different stuff soon. That being said, like the RPG it's something we really want to do, but I think a lot of people can also understand that it's a great place for us to fill out the world more and give you more kind of experiences you can author yourself. But also from like a product standpoint, it has a lot of similarities to Rangers, and so like it's not necessarily expanding. I mean, it expands the world a bit more with lore, but it's offering a fairly similar experience just in a slightly adjacent genre. And RPGs do okay, but there are also, like, from a fairly cold calculating standpoint, there are other products that that I think people would be even more excited about that we can potentially dip our toe into. So it is coming, but we're not making any promises about how quickly.
Right. I think the one thing we can say is it's not something that it's a product that I'm not planning on us bringing to crowdfunding. It's something that if we do, we'll make it and we'll sell it. So there won't be a big lead up to the crowdfunding campaign or anything like that. It'll just be something that will one day just be something you can buy, which is also very exciting.
Different.
Yeah, cool. A little different, just like the way that they used to do it for hundreds of years.
Back in the day.
You guys are so revolutionary.
That's right.
Never stops. All right. Next one's from Mikhail. At the end of a day in the game, why are players not given the option of camping without needing to travel? I would think you'd be able to camp and reflect on your experiences without traveling away from a location.
I like this question.
Yeah, this has a pretty direct story from development, which is that. Oh, go ahead.
Does it?
Do you
no, tell me the story. I don't remember it, so hit me.
So you used to be able to. You used to be able to just stop and camp, but it left the end of the day feeling very anticlimactic, and it just kind of petered out. And our favorite days, the days where we stopped our playtest session, we went, oh, that was awesome, were days when we were we just got to make it to that next, we can totally get there, we can make it to that, we can travel to that next place with 2 cards left, let's try it. And it builds up to this last moment, and then we either fail or succeed. Those were the games where we left with big grins on our faces, not the games where we were peters out. So we wanted to encourage people to build towards that moment, and wanted to encourage people to end the day by traveling. And so as part of that, we took kind of camping and being able to customize your deck and tied it to this traveling action to kind of signal that we want this to be the end of your day. We want you to push for one more travel and have that climactic moment at the end of your session.
Yeah.
Also, just thematically, I don't know, when you're hiking, most of the campsites, most of your pads are off on the trail, right? They're not in town, usually go off into the woods a little bit and pitch a tent. You don't necessarily pitch the tent on the top of the mountain. You usually go down below tree line to go camp for the night. So we kind of felt like there was a bit of justification as well for camping kind of between locations instead of at locations.
Yeah. 100%. I think though, I've been thinking though, since I've seen this pop up as a question pretty often as people join the community and ask, there's kind of this battery of questions that get asked oftentimes when people are first kind of engaging with the game, and this is one that comes up a lot. But it has got me thinking is that we should totally do a card that allows you to camp. at your current location.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like somebody can just right there. Yeah.
Right there.
But you gotta make room in your deck for it. If it's something you really want to do, then you can happen. You just gotta make room.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Like a tent or something. I wrote it down somewhere. I had a spark of inspiration for what it would be.
A sleeping mask.
You just put it on.
Sleeping pills.
Lay back.
Z-Quill. The next question comes from Kieran the Kind-ish. Did Kieran change their name to Kind-ish? All right.
Kind-ish.
Well,
it should be kind.
We debated. Kieran gave themselves the title Kind, and we debated whether it was warranted, and we judged their questions and found them, so-so. So I think that's why they gave themselves Kind-ish.
Oh, I forgot to say, this is our question of the week. Andre's question of the week, because it says my name in the question. All right, if we...
You can't tell them why.
Giving away the secret.
I think it's already pretty clear why I choose the ones I like. If we accept Andre's wise ruling in regards to self-appointed alliterative nicknames, what would you like your monikers to be? I chose Anders the Honorable. That's kind of unexpected, right? Different letters.
Ooh, that's good.
Anders,
I can't do it. I can't give myself a nickname.
You can't? Oh, no. You can do it.
No, not at all. I had a whole thing with my friends too growing up where we were like, oh, let's get nicknames, and we tried nicknames. It's just so dumb. The only nickname I ever liked that I got that came to me organically was when I was studying abroad in Mexico, and my fellow students called me Dr. Drace, like Dr. Dre. Andres.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's
cool. I thought it was pretty awesome. I liked being Dr. Drace. And also my friend Tony, who I watch football games with, he calls me Mandrew. And I really like that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I like that a lot.
That's good.
Yeah.
And the Mandrew.
I would be Cory the Kind. I'm just gonna take that. Take that from Kieran.
Just steal Kieran's.
Just steal it now.
Kieran, you need to change yours.
Cory the Crunchy. Something like that.
You are a crunchy guy.
I am pretty crunchy.
Well, do I alliterate with Andrew
Fisher
or Fisher? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question.
You gotta be Fisher. Your name's Fisher on the podcast.
Yeah.
Fisher kind of is your nickname, even though it is also your name.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, a lot of people also call me Fish.
Fish,
yeah, just for short.
That's a good nickname. It's like a detective.
Fish.
So yeah, I don't know what I alliterate with F. I was going to make a joke for Andrew that it would be Andrew the Anxious, but
I mean, could you do it first? I guess you could do it first, like Crunchy Cory.
True.
Fishy Fish.
Fishy Fish.
I don't like any of this. This is all bad.
It's all bad. You hate nicknames.
I like nicknames. You can't manufacture that.
Gotta happen organically. Though
exactly.
I do think Kieran has at least earned kind-ish because now there's a story behind the ish.
Yeah.
I do like that. Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Andrew the Angry at a self-appointed names.
Kieran the Kind also says the rule book specifies that players can customize the difficulty of their game by swapping in different weather cards. Will this continue in the subterranean spaces of the Legacy of the Ancestors expansion? Are there any other plans for difficulty modifiers, especially to help newer or less experienced players?
Well, I can say for one that yes, we've talked about the weather in a previous podcast, I think. There will be different underground weather, and you'll continue to be able to customize it if you so choose. And we're going to continue the tradition of doing options that are only really available via kind of that swapping method to give you some kind of thresholds above and below. So there's some cool stuff there. As far as other difficulty customization, we don't have a ton of new player tuning specifically planned, though kind of the experience for newer or less experienced players is definitely something that's been on our mind. And so I don't know how much or little you want to say about this, Andrew, but like I do
not too much yet. We just started talking about it.
No, yeah, but like I do think that materials to help those kind of players learn and enjoy Rangers is definitely something that's on our mind and something that we're interested in pursuing eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Final question comes from Pepe Porgar. In one of the first episodes, Fisher said that a helper app to track campaign progress and give appropriate entries could be a possibility. Are you still considering creating such an app?
Probably not.
Yeah, doesn't it kind of exist sort of now?
Somebody made a tool, like a campaign guide tool, I think, online, but ultimately the Living Valley kind of is our digital implementation of the campaign guide. And so the platform we chose to do that with offers us a lot of cool things and capabilities. Kind of tracking your progress and feeding you the exact right entry isn't necessarily one of those. That being said, the other benefits, like the fact that it's hosted on the web, doesn't constantly go out of date like an app provided through Google Play or the iOS store would, is a huge benefit. We know that it'll still be usable years from now because of how web-based stuff is supported. It's fully usable on desktop and mobile. So because of that, the Living Valley is our go-to digital implementation. It doesn't quite have all the strengths that app we talked about could have, but its ratio of work and knowledge for us to maintain to usability for all of you is something we're happy with. So
yeah. And if we ever do a dedicated app for anything, I will eat my hat. I will find a hat and eat it.
Somebody clip this because it's gonna happen.
Somebody clip it. Yeah, I mean, and also like the other half of that functionality is like through the community with Rangers DB, which helps you keep track of everything. So between the two of them, you've got everything you need for that.
Cool. And their follow-up question, secondary missions are one of the things that make the game great for me. However, a lot of them have similar mechanical objectives. Can we expect more variety in the secondary missions of Legacy of the Ancestors?
Yeah, and I think by secondary missions, they mean like the helping hand stuff. Kind of, we've kind of deemed them side activities. Yeah. Yep. Yes, the answer to your question is yes. Obviously, the way we kind of do those without dedicated mission cards means that they can't engage in a lot of extra complex design and additive mechanics, but we do play with making them do more interesting things in the expansion, partially to branch out, but also partially because underground, you're going to run into more and varied things than just the people you were helping out in the valley. And so some of those things work a bit differently and have you go about different tasks than you would have in the original game.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Thanks, everybody, for your questions. As always, you rule. And so that brings us to what we're into. And Andre's Indie Game Corner, which I feel like I've been a disappointment with lately. I'm not playing as many games as I once did, but I'll get back to it. But I did, just yesterday, find the game that struck the chord with me, worth speaking on. It's called Balatro.
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 Yeah, I don't know.
Balatro. It's kind of, I've seen it talked about for a few weeks now. It's kind of taking the roguelike fan world by storm. Really high praise from everyone who's played it. So I downloaded it and played it for 3 hours straight last night, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good for me.
Yeah.
And I was fully just zoned out and disassociating for that entire time, which is the main thing I'm looking for in handheld games lately, and always. It's where you put it down and you're like, "Where the hell am I?"
Yeah,
which has happened.
What year is it?
Yeah, but it's. I mean, I don't know if there's even.
Boy, what day is it? Christmas Day, sir.
Oh dear. Yeah, just like that. But I asked Fisher if he'd played it today, and he played a bit of it, and I think Cory, you've played some, right?
Yeah, I played a lot of the demo.
A lot of the demo.
Yeah, I finished the demo when they released it the first or second time, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of that kind of style of thing.
Yeah,
so,
uses
Crunchy Cory.
Uses. That's why they call you Crunchy Cory. You do, Andrew?
Yeah. Like I keep laughing through my nose like a pig.
Is that something you tend to do? Or is
no,
that just tonight?
I don't know what's happening tonight. I just I feel all snorfully for some reason.
It's that Imperial that you're drinking.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Imperial?
Imperial, yep.
Imperial.
La Cerveza de Costa Rica. This day.
Beautiful can.
Yeah. 1924.
Yeah.
100 años.
Seen?
100 years.
Oh, okay. Balatro uses poker hands, uses just playing cards. It's a roguelike deck builder. I don't know how much it does new other than it's playing cards. It's got your typical, boons and buffs and upgrades and
well, I think what's interesting about it is it kind of distills this kind of card building roguelike genre that dominates indie games into a very as simple a form factor as they can. 52 card deck, right. Poker hands.
There's no actual
roguelike deck builder with it.
What I love is there's no actual opponent. It's just a number. It's just
it's just get up to this number.
They score when I first started playing, I expected the scores to creep up, and they get mean real fast.
They get crazy. They get crazy fast. Yeah. No, the cool the gimmick of that game is everything is normal except for the jokers.
Yeah.
Which are the modifiers basically. And so it's there's this whole catch 'em all mentality that's very addictive, but also it just makes your whole strategy go wild. Oh, my entire deck is diamonds now. I've just slowly deleted all the clubs from my deck and replaced them with extra diamonds of different cards and stuff.
Because
it's cool.
Because there may be a joker that rewards diamonds.
Yeah, right. And you can also upgrade hands. So there's one run where it was just a pair of twos was insane. I got so many points for a pair of twos. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So I just needed my deck to have as many twos in it as possible, and so it's this really grind to get your deck to do that.
Wow.
It's fun.
The runs feel a bit long in a way. I started getting bored of upgrading as the game went on. Oh, here we go. Open a new pack of upgrades. Let's see what we got. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of had a similar reaction. I was like, this is taking a long time for a single run of this game. But it's funny because when I got started, I was like, oh, so I just throw out hands to reach a score, buy some stuff. That's a whole run, and there's only 3 runs per level. This game's going to be comically short. But for some reason...
Or three battles per
Or, yeah, 3
level.
battles, yeah. But
and there's eight levels, yeah.
But you're right. I felt the same way, Anders. I was like, this is actually taking quite a long time to get through the whole thing.
But that's what I like about it. It's not a game where I would say go play. This is so great. But if you like games that you just kind of lock into, the music is pleasant, the visuals are nice.
Oh yeah,
and you just kind of get lost in just a simple, kind of boring game, but kind of exciting at times.
Cozy.
It's cozy.
It's
That's
it's
what it's
playing.
Cozy.
And it really. I bet this is the designer's intention, even though it's very different. But the sound effects of the UI and animated bits and kind of the fire that animates as you get your multiplier up. something about the way that the UI clicks around. It's kind of like, remember when you did solitaire on like on Windows and the cards go,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
like
it's very like yeah. It's like the whole game is just kind of feeding you that through the like UI. It's very nice,
right? Because you might. I looked at the screen captures and I'm like, this doesn't look very nice. But when it's in motion, it feels very thoughtful
like, boop,
and nice. Yeah,
it's very like lively and yeah, it's very nice.
Is it on console or just Steam?
It's on Switch.
I think it's just Steam.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right.
It's on Switch.
Is it Switch?
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it might come to other platforms later.
It would be great on Switch, on the go.
Okay.
I played more Noita. I think that's a cool game. That's it. Oh, and I was gonna say at the end of that Shut Up and Sit Down review, the other guy says he's gonna talk about this game Rain World.
Yeah.
And that's a game that I've played a few hours of. I thought that was really interesting that he compared it to that. But I want to play more of that game. Have you played it?
I've played it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you play much of it?
No, I got to a point where I got kind of stuck, and I was like, I'm fine. I'm good.
You kind of get it.
Yeah. It's so stressful. Like it
was.
Yeah. Like, because you have to time this time in between rains in your head. Like, there's no indicator. You just got to get a sense for when the rains come and then get to a sheltered spot. And there's something about that level of stress that I just was not having at the time. I was like, I just don't need this right now. But
I get that.
Aesthetically is very cool. Like there's a lot going on in it that I felt like the creators were on a similar bandwidth to me creatively. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Do you think what that guy was going to compare it to Earthborne was just kind of the way that different living creatures will interact?
That's what I assumed. Yeah.
It's pretty bleak compared to Earthborne.
Yeah, just a bit.
And the playable character is like kind of annoying to control. Like it's sluggish.
It's a little hard to get used to. Yeah, the slug.
You don't jump. It's hard for me 2D platformers where there's no jumping.
Yeah, I know. You got to jump. That's your favorite thing.
My favorite thing in games is jumping.
Gotta jump.
It is. You remembered.
I will never forget.
Just give me a jumping guy. All right, Fisher, what are you into?
Well, I think I mentioned a couple times ago that my friends and I started a Necromunda campaign. It has continued. We're about halfway through, and I don't know if we'll ever finish. I also mentioned back then that things snowball in this game, and I think I mentioned that I started snowballing a little. I have fully snowballed, and the Delac are fully degenerate now, which is my faction.
So you're just completely dominant?
Yeah, I've got like these my juvies, like, who started as these weak little guys, now have these web guns, and they infiltrate, so they just get to spawn right next to the enemy, and then they pop up and shoot them with webs. And then I've got this guy with this las cannon who can just precise shoot people, and like it's dumb. This game is full of all sorts of degenerate stuff, and it's about who can be degenerate faster, and I think I won. But we've still generally been enjoying it. We had like one guy drop out, but like, you know, it's such a narrative game that like it's still pretty fun, and I've had a fun time. I've been designing like brutes, which are basically designing unique characters to give to the underdogs in the campaign. So like, and each of these people we design, we just give them for free to kind of the people who are lagging behind, and then they have a little quest to go and stick it to the leaders of the campaign. And so like I designed these little quests for these, so we give these brutes to some of the people in further in the back of the campaign, and they try to come and beat the winners to get these extra rewards and stuff. So it's been kind of fun.
That's cool.
But the only other video game I've kind of had time for, besides a little bit of Balatro that Andres convinced me to play today, is I've been playing Helldivers 2 along with everybody else.
Helldivers 2.
I hear it's good.
I haven't. I've only played a couple hours just with friends on the weekend, but it's it's a lot of fun. It's, your standard co-op shooter fare, but the third person control is really satisfying, and just like the way it evokes the chaos of like that Starship Troopers Imperial Guard style combat is very good.
Cool.
And like just the liberal friendly fire, like you're constantly calling it down orbital bombardments and stuff, and all of it is aggressively hurts your allies, which is
that's fun.
Which is just comedy gold.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a rare choice these days.
Well, yeah, and they like just to show you the kind of mentality of this game, like when the dropship comes in to pick you up, if you're anywhere near it, it just squishes you.
Amazing.
Like some games,
good.
might just forbid you from entering this zone until the ship's perfectly landed for you. Nope, it just.
That's great. That's classic.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really good.
Nice.
But yeah, that's mostly what I've been playing right now. Nothing. My most interesting games just come from Anders heckling me to play.
Will you continue with Balatro? Do you feel compelled?
Yeah, I definitely will.
I'm doing that right when we're done here. Cory, do you have anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah. I realized my keyboard's too loud. I was going to add things to the list there.
Oh,
yeah. It's going to clickety-clack.
Mechanical.
Yeah, first of all, I am addicted to this pesto roasted garlic pizza from Trader Joe's.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God. It's like some seasonal pizza, and like it's like every week.
Say it again.
Like, we got to get one.
Say it again.
It's like a special. I had it today because I was like, it's like the easy meal of the week.
What's it called?
And I'm like,
pesto
it's the roasted garlic and pesto pizza from Trader Joe's.
They have good frozen pizza.
It's ridiculous. It has no right to be as good as it is.
I was gonna share a food item too. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh yeah, please.
Cheetos buffalo flavor.
Oh, whoa.
That's mine.
And they're
good.
So good. I love them.
Okay.
I've bought them twice.
Oh, dang, twice. That's a big ask.
Just small bags. Okay, sorry, go on.
No. Well, that I don't know why. I think I ate that, and I was like, that should be my stuff I'm into.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It was so good. But I was going to mention Balatro, actually, just because I saw it. I haven't played it since release. I only played the demo, and I did buy it, and I plan to play it, and I don't know when, but I do plan to play it. I liked that game a lot.
Cool.
And then, let's see. I started playing... I had to quit playing old school RuneScape because it's just too addictive of a game. And I started playing Go a lot the last
digitally
3
or like with Patty?
Digitally.
Okay.
I don't have a fancy set. I have like a little magnetic set, but I don't have anyone to play with unless I was doing little like practice ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been playing a lot. Like I have like these correspondence games with people all over the world on this app, and so I just have like one move a day.
That's cool.
But I've always wanted to get into Go, so I started. I started kind of cramming some Go into my life, and it's actually been really enjoyable. It's I don't know. It's such an interesting game.
I've got a physical set if you ever want to play, though I'm not very good.
I mean, me neither. I'm like not. But it's fun. It's just a good time.
I heckled Max and like James Niffen and a couple other folks at FFG to play, and then Michael Hurley, who played a lot of Go, was like, "Oh, you play Go? Let's play." And he was significantly better than me.
Yeah. Oh man, do you know what your like rating is?
No.
Or no?
It would be bad.
Mine. I'm like double digits or whatever, which is like fine. I'm very mid.
Is it like chess in that you kind of, if you're like a pro, you know, like all the moves?
No, there's so much because you're building up in Go. You're not like taking away pieces. It's a much more methodical kind of game, and there's a lot of like there's just so many more moves. Like there's a certain amount of like memorizing openings, but ultimately it's very reactive. And I think there's a lot of people who act like chess is like this perfect game because there's no randomness, but like chess is, all those games randomness is who you're playing.
Sure.
Like you're because their skill level and what openings and choices they make are very like dependent on how they learned and like all kinds of stuff. So there's actually quite a bit of randomness in those games. But Go's is like much higher. So it's like who you're playing with is just going to be a vastly unique experience. Because some people just like pepper the board with stones, almost like imagining future shapes. That's wild. It's like really crazy how high level players play. It's interesting. I can't do that.
Yeah, the Go chess comparison is interesting because Go is much more kind of emergent than chess. There's just as much kind of complexity and weird strategies to learn and know, but Go's rules are dead simple. Like you each go back and forth placing a stone anywhere you want on the board. If you surround your opponent's stones with your stones, you take them all off the board, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
But this creates all these kind of emergent dependencies and then these little tactics and strategies that very quickly become very obvious. So there's like the rule book for Go is very short, but the actual like understanding of like how to play is this constantly growing thing and involves these layers of knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's very kind of difficult to get into and understand. You can watch a chess match and kind of immediately understand most of what's happening.
Yeah.
But like in Go, you'll just look at it and be like, I don't understand like what these two players are even doing.
Yeah, it's wild. It's really interesting too because like things like AI ignore certain openings that people used to use all the time, and it's not that those openings aren't great. They might even be better, but it's just like people who've played on apps for so long have like lost some of these things that are in books that other people now are trying to bring back. And so there's like weird like I don't know. It's just such a fascinating thing. Because it's so the numbers the numbers of probability of like win or loss are so tight that like the AI decisions are much more like preference in a weird way versus chess.
What's the best? Yeah. What's the app you use?
It's called Baduk Pro because in Korean it's called Baduk, which is BADUK. And it's the cutest app ever. There's like a little gold go thing with like a fedora and like a little face and wings. And it has the cutest little menu music. And it has what are called Sumego problems, where it's like it gives you a problem and you're supposed to win in like one move or whatever. And so it's really fun. And it's great.
Baduk Pop Grow?
Yeah, Baduk Pop.
Got it. Oh, do we lose? Oh, there you are. Cool. Was that it, Cory?
I'm sure there's plenty. Like I think I started Baldur's Gate 3 finally, and I barely get to play video games these days, so not much else really.
You did great. All right, that leads us to Andrew.
Yes.
Here he is.
So I just got back from a vacation. We went to Mexico, which was interesting because we went north to Mexico for the first time ever in my life. And for the first time ever going to Mexico, I wasn't like escaping cold weather. And it was it was very, very different going from Costa Rica, having been here for several months to Mexico, as opposed to my normal experience. So we went to Isla Mujeres, which is just off the coast of Cancun. Tiny island. You could probably like walk around the entire circumference in a day if you so chose. Mostly there's lots of like, it's so small, it's like mostly mopeds and golf carts everyone has. I did see one really cool motorcycle. It was like an old 70s US Army motorcycle that looked almost like a G.I. Joe toy.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, I want that motorcycle. So it was just it was fascinating, like just the way that the food tasted. Usually the food tastes better when you get to Mexico. This time around it was like, yeah, that's okay, it was fine. Usually when you get there, like the first feeling is like, oh my god, it's so hot, like as you're coming from the winter and you're like trying to like shed clothes in the airport because you're immediately boiling. and the air is super humid. But it is actually way drier than it is here. So that was interesting to experience that. But yeah, it was a good time. It was just, there's not a whole lot to do. So it was just a lot of like lazy mornings at the computer until everyone eventually woke up, and then we went out to either the beach or to sit in the sun somewhere else. And we just did that until the evening and then went to sleep. It was very nice.
Doesn't sound too bad.
No, it was good. It's exactly what I needed. Yeah, it's like not much to do. I also, like last episode, I said I was gonna like start to pace myself on Lord of the Rings. I did not. I'm almost done again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that book is so good. Like I think I said last time, Return of the King is my least favorite of the three, but this time around, I really just kind of like localized it to a couple elements of Return of the King that I don't like quite as much, where they kind of just rush through some stuff that I felt like probably could have used a little bit of more development. And the whole Paths of the Dead stuff and the way it plays out in the book isn't quite as exciting as it is in the movies. I think they did some good changes there to make that a little bit better. I don't know if you guys remember how it plays out in the book, but the Spirit Army doesn't show up at the Battle of Pelennor Fields. They only help Aragorn defeat the Corsairs, and then Aragorn rides in with the Corsairs.
That's right.
But you don't get to see it happen. Like you just hear about it later when Gimli and Legolas are telling the story about what happened. And Gimli and Legolas are also like almost completely forgotten characters in that book. They're like, oh yeah, these guys are here. So they feel a little tacked on. But there's still so much good stuff. So many moments where Tolkien's writing can just pierce right to your soul and the heart of human experience. It's awesome. And then the thing I've really been enjoying lately, honestly, is what I put in the show notes as the joys of childhood development redux is, as you know, Anders, and as Fisher, you are learning, like it's so much fun just to watch your child be, and like watch them discover things and see them experience the world and watch them change and grow. And as they get older, you still get to enjoy that. But both my kids are teenagers now, so it's not like I often get glimpses into like these big moments that they have anymore, where it felt like early in your life you kind of just have them like one after another, and it's just like this cool unfolding book, and it's so fun to. It's so much fun, and so it brings you so much joy to just watch your child. But Sam, since he's been going to school for the past few weeks and is like getting just massive doses of Spanish, just to hear him speak in Spanish and start to learn the vocabulary is really awesome. But the really cool thing is just to hear him speak, because his phrasing and just the way he puts the words together and his pronunciation is perfect. It's perfect because he's just parroting what he's hearing and learning naturally. And it's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah, I'm so jealous. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I bet you wish you could you could pick it up like that.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Like I think I'm definitely doing better. But yeah, it just seems so effortless because he's just immersed in it, and that's been really great. So that's super fun.
That's cool.
That's what I'm into. But now that we're finally at the end of the show, this long show.
Yes.
I will say that we have some big news. Big news coming on Monday.
Wow.
So stay tuned to our social channels.
The big news is that there's news.
Yeah, you're like wait for 2 hours for some big news.
Yeah, big news that you can, because this posts on Friday. So we only have like 2 days to wait. But I will say that the stars are right here at Earthborne Games.
Stars.
I can't wait.
The stars. What is that?
Stars.
What is that based on?
Well, you have to look it up. You have to figure it out.
The stars are right here.
You gotta figure it out. It's a puzzle.
That's right.
It's an old saying.
It's a Balatro.
The
stars are right here.
Uh-huh.
That's the news. Is that there's going to be more news?
There's news. Is going to be news.
This is the favorite pre-trailer teaser announcement.
That's right.
Yeah. This is the movie trailer that's just like sparks on a black screen.
Uh-huh.
It says like Spider-Man back home again.
Yeah. So I didn't even think about it. I'm sorry if this was like anticlimactic. If you got all the way to this episode, like what?
How there's going to be actual
drink
news.
Your Ovaltine? What the hell?
I think your little secret
right here
message is good. I think. Yeah.
This is ungoogleable.
So that's the news. So so the news is there'll be news. We don't often have news. So
I think the
announcement that there is news and that we are making a big deal about there being news is in itself news.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that we don't have a lot of news lately.
That's true.
I feel like we've had news every day for like 2 months.
But this is big. This is big news.
This is big news.
Yeah, big news.
Big news.
The stars are right here.
That's right.
It's not Googleable. The stars are right here. There's nothing.
It's not intended for you to spoil while the episode is still going on, Anders.
He's Googling it. You got to Yahoo it?
They have to figure it out.
That's
I got to Jeeves it.
Yeah. Only Jeeves knows.
Web crawler.
I know I've heard it somewhere. I won't spoil it, though. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining us, listeners, watchers. Thanks for your support. And thanks, you guys. Nice talking to you. Thanks, Cory, for being on here. It's fun having you.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're glad. All right, see y'all next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I'm gonna figure out what this news is. Bye.